Okay. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Angela Vladimirova, and I'm interning with the Caregiving Years Training Academy. And with me, we have my supervisor, Denise Brown.
Yeah,
And
hi Angela.
we'll be talking about her experience caregiving and interacting with the 17 systems.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation. Thanks for being here with me, Angela.
Of course, thank you. Okay, so we can start by sharing an overview of your your caregiving situation. So your relationship, how long you've been caring for this person, and a description of your life as well.
So I am a former family caregiver. I cared for my mom for 7 years, and she died in August of 2022. And I cared for my dad for just under 20 years, and he died in July of 2023. And while I was caring for them, I worked other jobs and ran a small business. I was their primary family caregiver. I had some siblings that supported me. I had one sibling who didn't. And then I had a sibling who died, unfortunately, while we were caring for my parents.
Okay. Do you have a graphic you want to share with us about your
Yes, I
caregiving
did a
situation?
doodle. I did a doodle. And I was thinking about which situation to share about today. And this is the one that came to mind. And of course, I can't find it. Okay, bear with me here for just a minute. I had it. I was ready. Oh, here we go. Okay, now I am ready. Okay, I'll share it with you. Okay, so here we go.
Tell us about this.
Yeah, okay, so this doodle is about 24 hours during a time period when my mom was hospitalized. So that's why my mom looks like she's in a hospital bed. And my dad was recovering from surgery to remove his bladder and his kidney because he had bladder cancer that had spread. And then he had a stroke, and then he thought he was having a heart attack. He didn't. And then he had plastic surgery to replace skin cancer that was on the top of his head. So he had skin cancer all across the top of his head. So they took a skin graft from his shoulder, replaced the skin on the top of his head, and then he had staples all over the top of his head and on his shoulder. And I did his wound care. So at this same time, my mom was critically ill in the hospital. My dad thought he had had a heart attack. We thought, okay, we got through that. Then a week later, my mom started a significant stomach bleed, and they couldn't figure out how to stop it. So she had something like 24 different blood transfusions. She had a series of interventions that didn't work. And then finally, they did emergency surgery to remove a third of her stomach, and that's how they stopped bleeding. Okay, so my dad had the plastic surgery on a Thursday. I was managing that. I was managing helping my mom in the hospital to get the right care, just staying on top of everything. And we had a long weekend with my dad. So I was his primary caregiver. So I was managing his wound care, and he was a nervous wreck. He was so worried about my mom that he wasn't sleeping at night and he was having lots of incontinence. So I was up with him during the night managing the incontinence. So I hadn't slept in a period of days. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and I checked my email, and I happened to have a part-time job working as a nanny for two little kids, and their mom would use me when she was traveling. So it was sporadic. I would help them as they needed help. She sent me an email and said, I'll see you tomorrow morning. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have this on my calendar. She had forgot to let me know. but she was leaving to go out of town that afternoon, like the next hour. So I thought, well, I have to go. I have to go and be at their house at 6 a.m. the next morning. But I knew I was going to be up all night with my dad. And then I was up all night with my dad. I was getting ready to leave to go to my nanny job, and I realized that we were out of incontinence supplies. I don't know how I let that slip, but I guess I was thinking, oh, it's Sunday. I can go to the store on Monday. So I had to reach out to my siblings, and I had a sibling who lived 5 minutes away and 5 minutes away from a Walgreens. And so I asked her to help, and she wouldn't. So I had to text my brother, who lived a half an hour away, to go to Walgreens and get incontinence supplies and bring them to my dad and also to check on my dad. So then I spent the day with the little kids texting to make sure everything was okay, checking in on my dad. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. I still remember what that was like. So I think the systems that I interacted with were workplace. So I got called into work when I wasn't scheduled because my client forgot to schedule me. Nervous system. So I was managing my dad's nervous system. He was just a wreck, which made me nervous. My mom at this point wasn't really, she wasn't necessarily nervous and she wasn't stressed out for whatever reason. I think she was too sick at this point. And then I was managing my siblings. We were upset with my one sibling who wouldn't help us. Oh, and then I was trying to be okay with the kids. Like I didn't have this crisis going on. So I just would show up and be like, oh, yeah, let's have a great day together. Let's run around. Let's do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was also community. So I guess I'll start listing them. So workplace, nervous system, community, family system, medical, because I was providing care. Did I get them all? I wonder if there's one other one that I'm forgetting about.
I can look through them too.
And I think about this situation as an example that as family caregivers, we often have to be two places at the same time. And it's a nightmare when that happens. And it's two places at the same time when a family member or family members, depending on how many carees we have, are really in a tough spot with their health. So my dad wasn't well, my mom wasn't well. So when I had to go to my nanny job, I was leaving my dad at home by himself. Now he didn't have dementia, so there wasn't a concern about that, but I was just concerned about how stressed out he was. He was just heartbroken. At night, I could hear him in his room. He would be praying for my mom's good health and that she would recover, and he would be crying. Honestly, he would be wailing. Oh my gosh. Oh, so I thought, here I am leaving this poor guy because I don't know what to do about this client that forgot to schedule me.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot to deal with all at once.
Yeah. When you look at the list, I'm wondering if you see any that I forgot to mention that would apply.
Maybe relationship would apply because the relationship with that one sibling was stressing you out, and you also cared for your dad, and that he was worried, even at the same time that you were stressed as well.
Absolutely, relationship. And actually, it's also the relationship with my client too. I made that a priority. I didn't say to her, you didn't schedule me, so I'm not going to help you. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't leave her in the lurch.
Yeah.
I guess in some regard, that's also a relationship with myself. What's my priority? How do I show up with these priorities? How do I honor these priorities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How you honor your values as well if you by
Yes.
them.
Yeah. What what other ones do you think?
Um, I think those are the main ones.
know what? Actually, spiritual. I would say spiritual because I think about my dad just praying out loud in the middle of the night as he was wailing. And, I'm thinking, how do I comfort this man? What do I do?
Yeah.
So for him, it felt like he turned to his faith to help him. And for me, I felt like I was in a crisis of faith. Like, where is the help? Where is the relief from all this pain and agony?
Hmm. So, what other emotions describe what it's like to navigate this situation in these systems?
Yeah. Ooh. Aggravation, frustration, overwhelm, sadness, grief, anger. I was mad at my sister. A little bit of hopelessness, worry, a ton of worrying. Yeah, I think those would be the ones that come to mind.
That makes sense. And what helps you cope when you navigate these systems?
For me, it was helpful to think about my other three siblings. That was helpful for me. And particularly that my one brother was like, of course, I'll go to Walgreens and drop off incontinence supplies and check on dad. Of course. It felt helpful to have that as a solution. So that helped me cope.
So, you
And I
wanted
guess,
other
oh, go
support
ahead.
people.
Yeah, right. Yes. And I also think it helped me to just focus on the moment. Like if I got too far in front of myself, that would trip me up. If I stayed focused on the moment, what's happening right now? What can I do right now? That was helpful for me.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's it. I find it very helpful to do these doodles.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell the story, I think, without some kind of visual representation, and this feels like a helpful way to prompt me through a story. And it's always helpful for me to draw it out. Like I get to draw my sister's face who wouldn't help, and I get to actually determine what does her face look like. So she gets an upside down smile.
Hmm.
That kind of feels good to do that.
It's like a different form of journaling. It gets your thoughts down on paper.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So, after this experience navigating the systems, what would you love to have or love to do that will help you?
Yeah, that's a great question because when I think back, I just kept powering through. So, for instance, I probably went back to my nanny job a second day because my client was out of town. And I was also managing my small business. So, I probably got home at night, checked in on my dad. Oh, that Monday night, too, I also called his doctor because I was so concerned about him getting up at night because he was just so incontinent. He was so stressed out. It just did a number on his stomach. So that Monday night, after I got home from the nanny job, I called the doctor who actually called me back, which was a miracle. And I talked to him about what was happening and how concerned I was that my dad was getting up at night and he was going to fall. And so the doctor said, you just have to tell him he can't get up at night. And so I went into his room and I said, Dad, you can't get up at night anymore. And he's like, oh, but I'm so uncomfortable if I don't get up. I said, it's okay. I'll take care of it in the morning, but you cannot get up at night anymore. It's it's too much of a worry for me and I have to sleep too. So when I got home then, I'd worked a full day taking care of these little kids. I did what I needed to do to manage my small business. I checked my email. I probably updated my website. I called the doctor. I told my dad to stay in bed. And then I probably went to bed and thought, how am I going to do this again? And then I would have got up and just started all over again. And I wish there would have been something that could have helped me. And I'm wondering what could have helped me. Could have helped me. Guess sometimes you just kind of wonder what does help these situations? How do we manage? I'm not sure. I guess if I had had something to look forward to. So to me, the situation was about the future of just terrible things. And it kind of was. And I guess if I had thought, in a month, I'm going to take 4 hours or something to look forward to, I think that would have helped me. Because we have nothing to look forward to oftentimes in our caregiving experience because it's just more things going wrong, more declines. And that's how it feels hopeless. So thinking about, okay, I can do it for another couple weeks because then I'm going to take a break. And then I'm going to do it another couple weeks and then I'm going to take a break. So something to look forward to would have helped me cope.
That seems like a nice reward. Okay, those are all my questions for you.
Oh, could I actually add one other thing that could have helped me if I had had someone who could have called and checked in on me? Doesn't have to be every day, but someone who could have called me every couple days and said, "How are you doing? Tell me what's happening." That would have been helpful for me. Because actually, having someone call to check in on me would have been something to look forward to. Here's someone who cares about me, who's worried about me, who is here to support me, and is going to keep a commitment to checking in on me. That would have helped me.
Yeah, and they let you know that you can share and it doesn't cost them anything.
Yes, exactly. That they were just available to listen, to
Mhm.
let me vent.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything. That was all I had for today.
Yeah. So I just want to mention something. I'm going to stop sharing my graphic. So you did great, Angela. And Angela is actually interviewing family caregivers and former family caregivers about their experiences. So you could have a story that's like mine or a story that's worse than mine, and a graphic or a doodle or a map that you've drawn that you might like to share as part of our 17 caregiving systems projects. So you can schedule time with Angela. And it's the same thing that I did with Angela that you would do with her as well. Now, I am fine with this being recorded and we're going to share this publicly. However, you might say, I'd love to share a story, but I don't want it recorded and I don't want it public. No worries. What we're doing is really capturing data around how family caregivers interact with the systems, and then that very important question that Angela asked me at the end, what would help you cope? We want to figure out what is it that will help you cope? And that's why we're doing this project.
Mhm. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'd love to do more interviews and you can sign up with me and it can be anonymous or it can be shared. It's the same
yeah,
question.
yes. And I'll put a link to sign up to share your story in the show notes. So you can sign up for a time that's convenient for you. And Angela is obviously very lovely. And so she'd love to connect with you.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Angela. This was great.
Thank you too. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.